Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I am Adebola Adedugba. The headlines. Military declares Delta monarch, 7 others wanted for killing of Nigerian soldiers. Freed Kuriga school children unite with parents. South Africa's ruling party ANC launches new court bid to block Zuma. Details shortly. News now begins in South Nigeria, where the Nigerian Army Defense Headquarters has declared 8 persons wanted over their roles in the recent killing of 17 military personnel at Okwama community in Ohele South local government area of Delta State. The military released a list on Thursday at a briefing in Abuja, and those declared wanted are the newly installed traditional ruler of Ewu Kingdom, Clement Ikolo Ogenerukoye, President General of Ewu, Professor Ekpekpo Arthur, and Diowe Dennis Barikri, Avevu Daniel Omotegbo, Akata Malawi David, Sinclair Oliki, and Ruben Bara, as well as Igoli Ebi. In the meantime, Nigeria's president has approved scholarship up to university level for all children of the 17 soldiers killed in Okwama community in Delta State. And this was during the burial ceremony of the soldiers at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja, where the president commiserated with the families of the soldiers and the military, promising to ensure that those responsible will be brought to book. Edong Joseph reports.
Visits to
The remains of the 17 soldiers who were killed on March the 14th while on a peacekeeping exercise in the Okwama community of Delta State, Nigeria's South region. Emotions filled the atmosphere as relatives, friends and colleagues, including senior government officials and Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, gathered at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja to pay their last respects.
When soldiers die in the hands of the enemies of the state, we take it as dying for what the nation has considered a just cause. But when they are gruesomely murdered by the very people they are trained, equipped, and took an oath to protect, it is highly demoralizing.
We will honor your memory by continuing the fight against those who seek to undermine our peace and security. We will remain steadfast in our resolve to build a nation worthy of your sacrifice.
President Tinubu, while commending the military for not carrying out a reprisal attack on the community, announced the award of national honors to all the slain soldiers. He also ordered the payment of benefits to their families immediately.
The 4 gallant officers have been accorded the award of members of the Order of Niger, MON. The 13 courageous soldiers who also lost their lives have been awarded the Officers of the Federal Republic Medal. The military, we appeal to you to within the next 90 days to ensure that all benefits of departed are paid to their families.
It was all sorrow and tears as the military laid its slain comrades, and you can literally feel the agony in the atmosphere. President Bola Tinubu, while assuring relatives and friends of the deceased that they will get justice, promised to bring those responsible to book.
I want to make it clear once more that those who committed this heinous crime will not go unpunished.
The president urged the military not to allow the incident at Okwama discourage them from carrying out their lawful responsibilities. In Abuja for News Central, I am Edong Joseph.
Still in Delta, 2 weeks after 17 soldiers were killed in an ambush in Okwama community of Delta State, South Nigeria, the hunt for the masterminds has not ceased. Residents of Orere, one of the communities raided by the military personnel, have raised alarm over the alleged torture and harassment by soldiers. News Center's correspondent Austin Ozo has details.
A visit to Orere, one of the affected communities, reportedly to have been raided by the military. Residents frown at the manner the military carried out their operations, which they felt could have been without the extreme embarrassment and torture it brought. Some residents of Orin, a predominantly farming community, narrated their experience when the soldiers came calling.
From then, I moved direct with them to the community town hall. When we got there, they used all the whole men sit down for ground. Many of them, they marched there for back, say they be criminal, that they kill their people for the riverside.
So you just waking up from your bed, the next thing you see are more than 200 military men with guns and ammunition everywhere. This community already is not even by the river bank. So there is nothing connecting us to Okwama. Even if they are investigating what transpired in Okwama, the way and manner the Nigerian army is going about it, I think is not right. If gunboat came from the river of army yesterday, where four healers of army came from the land. So then they now hold me, beating me. They now drag me, enter their boat, that I should show them the community. Then I follow them down to the community. The moment we step into the community, the entrance of the community, they now shoot. They started shooting. So they now drag everybody to the juju side to destroy the juju and went to the shrine, the community town hall to mess everybody up. They injure 5 to 7 people. Even myself, they even injure me. Students themselves, when they want to write exam yesterday, run loss. Even Tina self, some of them said they find them. They never will see them up to date.
Other victims said they are yet to see their loved ones who ran for their lives when soldiers stormed the community with gunboats.
Everybody they run, when they shoot they run, never see them. My people don't go to the old mama the town, everybody never see them now.
Meanwhile, the Director of Media Operations of the Defense Headquarters, Major General Edward Buba, in a statement, said soldiers are combing some communities in Delta and Bayelsa states in search of wanted suspects who are on the run, and to recover weapons and arrest the perpetrator of the killers of 17 soldiers in the area. In Orere community, Delta State, for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Away from Delta State to Kaduna, where the parents of the abducted Kuruga school children at the Chukun local government area of Kaduna State have finally been reunited with their children 7 days after being handed over to the Kaduna State government. The children who were rescued from northern Zamfara State by the Nigerian army and brought back to Kaduna State on Sunday were officially handed over to the governor on Monday. Surprisingly, the parents of the kidnapped school children were not present during the ceremony, which sparked a lot of controversy.
Allah ne dora mana wata kaddara mutane da ba irin namu ba sau kwashe mu sai kai mu cikin daji. Allah kuma ya ba mu fita muka fito. An karbe mu hannu biyu, an taimaka mana, an ba marasu lafiya magani waɗanda jikinsu bai masu daɗi ba, an taimake mu matuƙa, mun ji daɗi gaskiya. Muna godiya ga baya goyon marayu, Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka. Muna godiya ga gwamna, Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka, Allah ya ƙara taimakawa. Zuwa nan ya ƙara man ƙwarin gwiwa akan cewa iman Allah da sai na yi karatu matuƙa, Allah ya so ya.
Sunana Aisha Muhammad. Muna godiya ga gwamnati da uwan marayu da suka taimaka mana. Allah ya sa muka ga iyayenmu lafiya, su ma suka ga mu lafiya. Muna fata Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka su. Mu ma Allah ya ba mu fatan da muke buri a rayuwarmu.
Ba mu san a Kaduna ma an ɗauke mu wani abu kusa da wajen gwamna da sakataren gwamna. Ubangiji Allah muna roƙonka. Allah ka saka mu wa'annan mutane. Kuma ya Allah ina roƙonka a nan mu dai a nan ba ma nan kuri gaba jihar Kaduna ma gaba daya muna fata wannan shine ɗaukar ɗalibai a kai su wani wuri ne. Allah ubangiji Allah ka sa wannan
na farko ne na mi godiya ga Allah subhanahu wataala ya kawo mu rana irin teku. Alhamdulillah daga lokacin da Aminu Jibrin Gwadabe ya tura mu sarki kurga sako ta voicemail cewa ɗaliban nan an karɓo su sun kusan shigowa garin Kaduna. Mun fita muna tare da sarkin Kuriga, mun fita waje mun ga iyaye da yan wada abokan arziki. Daga lokacin irin iyaye aka dinga fitowa ana ganin kamar ma an gasa wanda kuma murnan ya dinga ci gaba da kuma gudunmawar da mai girma gwamnati ya kai na palliatives. Ana ganin an kawo wannan kaya, ana ce kuma ga labarin da iso mana da cewa yaran nan sun iso. To alhamdulillah gaskiya ba za mu manta ba ko ba za mu ci muna mika godiya mu ba, sai mu mika godiya ga mai girma shugaban kasa Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu da kuma mai girma gwamnatin jihar Kaduna da shugaban sojojin Najeriya CJ Musa da kuma mai ba shugaban kasa shawara akan harkar tsaro watan Nuhu Rubadu. Wa'annan sun yi bakin yin su kuma Allah kare mana su alhamdulillah, saboda ba don koi ba, saboda ba a taɓa ɗaukan yara tun da aka fara na Chibok, na Yawuri, na Kagara, na ina ne duk ba wanda aka yi wanda zai yara suka dawo cikin kwana 16 ko 15 irin na Kurga.
And now to politics. The Labour Party is yet again embroiled in the turmoil as its Board of Trustees has reportedly taken charge amid silence from the National Working Committee. This development follows the re-election of Julius Sabure as the national chairman during the party's national convention in Nnewi, Anambra State. While all members of the National Working Committee retained their positions, slots for representatives of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress remained vacant. However, a statement from the party's board chairman, Sylvester Ejiofor, claims the board has assumed control due to the expiration of Abure's tenure and the perceived irregularities in his re-election. The statement emphasizes adherence to the party's constitution and the need to avoid a leadership vacuum, announcing plans for an all-inclusive national convention in line with the Federal High Court consent judgment and agreement with key stakeholders. And to talk about this, I'm joined live on the news by the factional National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Abayomi Arabi. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me, Abayomi.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Okay, let me kick off by asking what's your reaction to the Nigeria Labour Congress rejection of Julius Abure's return as the national chairman of the Labour Party?
Thank you very much. Like I would want to put it, NLC lack the constitutional power to ever commented on Abure's leadership or tenureship. The reason being that they are not financial members of the Labour Party, and the purported constitution of the Board of Trustees is not where it is known, it is also void and of no effect, because they don't have the power to take over the function. There is no vacuum in Labour Party. They were not even part of us when we took the issue of leadership to court. We didn't collect a kobo from NLC, and they were not even part of our member. They are not financial member. So for them to have even declared there is a vacuum, as far as we are concerned, is very unconstitutional. The composition of Board of Trustees is here in Article 13(4) that I have before me. This is the constitution of the Labour Party. Nigeria can see. The Board of Trustees consisted of past and serving president and vice president, that we have, serving national chairman and past, that we have in the party. But most importantly, they say founding member of the party are defined in the constitution. Now, if they say they are founding member of the party, and they as they claim, the appointment, they said the constitution said they shall elect a chairman and secretary from his member, who shall connote compulsory, who shall also be a member of the National Executive Council. So I want you, Adero, to tell me if he's a member of National Executive Council of Labour Party. For him to now think he can, because of his present ambition, now declare the seat of the national chairman of Labour Party vacant. They are aware we have leadership also in court, and we are already before the Supreme Court. I kept wondering the kind of leadership trait Joe Ajero is presenting to Nigeria. You are not a party to this matter right from the FCT High Court. We are there over 1.5 years. So they thought they can just come and reap where they did not sow. So, Comrade Jovo, as I'm speaking to you, what Joe Ajero is telling Nigerians, what Joe Ajero is telling the whole world is that they are now asking, is asking the Satan to prepare supper for Jesus Christ. It's not going to be possible. They are not a member, they are not financial member, and they cannot appoint.
Abayomi, are you still there?
The only, yeah, on Labour Party today,
it seems we're having connection problem with
hello?
Abayomi.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yes,
I'm
go
back.
ahead, please.
I'm back. Yeah, the only authority we have in Labour Party is Alhaji Lamidi Abapa, who is the acting chairman, and Alhaji Saleh Mohammed, who is the acting general secretary. NLC cannot come in between because they have no function in our neck. I just told you the appointment of Board of Trustees. They said the chairman and secretary must be a member.
Mr. Arabambi, if you're there and if you can hear me.
They said they shall be a member. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. They said they shall be a member. They shall be a member of the National Executive Council. So that is it. Comrade Jefo is not a member of the National Executive Council. Neither is Joajero a member of our National Executive Council. And let me break a news to all of you. You are the first I'm going to talk to on this. Yesterday, Joajero put a call through to Alhaji Apapa that they want him to come on board. But we are shocked. Why we are still sending name to them that they want us to come to National Committee and they wanted Apapa and Saleh to give them the locus to challenge Abure leadership. Suddenly overnight, we now saw Comrade Jefo writing a purported letter that he has assumed leadership. It is only NEC that will appoint Board of Trustees. Now the convention will now ratify them. And the convention now has been declared null and void by INEC. So where did NLC get their power from? If not because Joajero First Labour Party is just a bystander party that can just come and pick the ticket of the president, as the president candidate for 2027. That is not going to work. Yeah, I have just told you the position of law.
Mr. Arabambi,
it is order buyer.
Chip in there. Just to quickly chip in there, Mr. Arabambi, I hear you talking about the scuffles between the NLC and the LP. I'm wondering, in terms of party dynamics or integrity as a political party in Nigeria, won't this affect your integrity, particularly for upcoming elections in the country?
No, Nigerians are now beginning to see that we are different from APC and PDP. That when they take in the Senate, they will tell him, come in, go and see no more. We are challenging institutionalized slavery in Labour Party. We are challenging institutionalized corruption in Labour Party. And that was what we stand for. Nigerians are now beginning to see, if you go on Twitter, go and look at the obedience, they are now singing praises of Mambu Person and Apapa that they never knew what we were saying was the truth. So NLC, remember, NLC on April 2 or April 8, they came to the court, they invaded the court before Joseph Mazu. On April 17, last year, they invaded our party secretariat, declaring vote of confidence on this on Abure. So what has changed now for them now to say we are party vote of no confidence? We are not babies, for God's sake, who will be tossed to and fro to follow their wills and caprices. We are not going to do that. Our integrity remains intact. It is none of their business the leadership touch with Abure. At every point in time, APC managed to solve their leadership issue. At the point in time, PDP managed to solve their leadership. They have been second route with the senator for Benue, Yosha Ayu. They have also had with Chiomole, John Joyogun in APC. It was settled. But for us, as far as we are concerned, NLC, they have made some interloper. In affairs of Labour Party, they have no constitutional backing. So the announcement by Comrade SOZ Ojofo as the Board of Trustees of Labour Party, in lieu of the fact that they are claiming that vacancy of the national chairman of Labour Party is not a buyer. There can't be any vacancy until when we are back from the Supreme Court. They need to get that straight because they have lawyers among them. When you have a pendency of a suit before the Supreme Court, you have to maintain status quo, for God's sake. Why are they trying to ambush the judgment of the Supreme Court? They are not party to it. We have filed appeal. We have filed motion for stay of execution. We are combining record. And yet somebody somewhere just wake up and say, oh, I'm announcing myself at the Board of Trustees. It is just what I will call political harakiri and awada kerikeri also, like the Nollywood.
Just to quickly follow up on the NLC, you touched on their invasion of the headquarters of the Labour Party. We understand that they tried to get notable Nigerians to intervene and also warn the Labour Party, that is, against this insurrection, from the NLC. Has there been any intervention so far from any authority in Nigeria?
Well, we have made our point known because we know the function, the principal aim of Joajero was to use Labour Party to cause insurrection in Nigeria. And our part is this. A man that described the judgment of FCTI court as fraudulent is the same man with Adedugba that is going on here to say, oh, Abure did this, Abure did that, we have this from the police. Those were not their document, for God's sake. These were things we meticulously pursue with the police and the court before we now got the judgment, which they now treated with ignominy. They said they're not going to respect it. So if not for that, this man that said Abure is the best thing to happen to him in the whole world, and Mr. Bitobi said Abure is my man, is the best person, even when Abure was arrested in Benin. All of you remember what Bitobi said, that they cannot treat our national chairman as a common criminal. What has changed now? That all of them will now suddenly now go against Julius Abure for reason best known to them. For us, it's an attempt by them to adjust Labour Party to cause insurrection and to cause the violent overthrow of the present administration, which we are not going to agree, because we have voted, we need to prepare for 2027. And even for anybody to say, oh, we have a president candidate, is also not a point, because that time has not come, and has not released timetable. So, but because of what we have, leadership tussle is between Alhaji Lamidi Ababa and Julius Abure. NLC, they have made some Talopa, they cannot use our party to foment any trouble, to conduct, to make themselves in a conduct to accomplish of peace to Nigeria. And we have told the Surgeon of Police, we have told the DG of SSS, we have told the Attorney General, it's left to them. But for now, we will not allow them. But if they want to allow them, it's left to them. But we are not going to allow them.
I'm afraid that's the most we can take on this edition of the news. Thank you so much for your time on the news. Abayomi Arabi, Factional National Publicity Secretary of Labour Party. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me once again.
You're live with News Central TV. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. Economic experts in Africa have raised concerns over the rising debt crisis, which is surging at a fast pace. Speaking at a recent international conference on African debt crisis and international financial architecture in Accra, Ghana, the stakeholders addressed the role of global financial bodies like the IMF in financing and debt servicing. The conference, which runs for 4 days, is organized by the International Development Economics Association in Accra, Ghana. And News Center's correspondent Adeshola Odushoga in Accra, Ghana, files in this report.
The African continent is grappling with a huge debt crisis, which may be hindering it from adequate access to finance, financing its climate action, achieving its sustainable development goals, and improving its economic growth potential. The continent has continued to be victims of Western economic shocks with rising interest rate and a devalued local currency, which is making it almost impossible to service its debt. Economic and financial experts within and outside the continent have gathered in this room, forming an international conference to discuss the African debt crisis and the international financial architecture.
When you have a problem, the IMF comes and tries to reduce the damage done. But the question is, who was the arsonist in the first place? Okay, this is a problem. You're not going to you cannot control the US in this situation. When the US chooses to raise interest rates, I mean, this current raising of interest rates, was it because of a big problem which needed interest rates to be raised? No, it was because the US Federal Reserve Bank wanted to discipline organized labor.
We need to understand as Africans that nobody owes us a living.
During the conference, a spotlight was shed on countries in the Sahel region, bounded by a common currency of the CFA franc. Conversations around how the CFA franc is keeping the countries poor and the need to exit and establish an alternative currency were brought to the fore.
We'll have to either reform the systems or transitioning out. And that's the debate we have now. And how do we ensure that the transition is smooth, not chaotic, but result into a system that deliver on expected growth dividend that people are waiting for, looking for, is the main challenge. And there's been a lot of discussion in the past, and you heard today that one aspect will be to make sure that we have enough reserve, foreign reserve, as a caution.
Or is it an impossible association?
The speakers at the event who spoke in turn highlighted what they tagged as the unwarranted role of the global financial bodies like the IMF in debt restructuring for African countries and how it is designed to keep the continent indebted with a rising interest rate.
We've got to figure out a way of insulating our own currencies from dependence on the US dollar, which is something that I think the new Senegalese president, for example, is trying to sort of think about. So this I see as a way, as kind of solutions way forward.
As part of the numerous resolutions, speakers here are urging African leaders to exploit their respective natural resources as a source for foreign reserves, form a continent-based financial body, and a common currency that reflects its macroeconomics, amongst others. In Accra, Ghana, for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has called on the U.S. government to help strengthen democracy in the West African sub-region, including bilateral ties with Nigeria. This was revealed by Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs following the meeting with the president and the U.S. congressional delegation. Amadin Uyi has details.
Nigeria, the largest economy in Africa, is regarded as a key ally of the United States of America. With Nigeria well positioned as a powerhouse on the African continent, many believe that the nation is fundamental to the U.S. objectives in Africa.
Nigeria is perhaps one of the world's greatest countries because of its size, because of its population, because of its regional importance. And of course, your president is head of ECOWAS, which is extraordinarily vital at this point when we see some of the challenges that are being faced. So it was a great meeting.
As Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu met with U.S. congressional representatives in Abuja, they said the success of Nigeria is key to stabilizing the African continent.
But in addition to that, we share values and want to strengthen democracy because we know that a strong Nigerian economy, a strong Nigerian democracy, is going to influence the whole continent of Africa and the world.
The Congress, the legislature, is a separate arm of government, and in the U.S. there are a lot of issues that pertain to the fight against terrorism, sale of weapons, human rights issues that are often decided in the legislature in the U.S. Congress, which is why it's important for Mr. President to engage with senior ranking members of the U.S. Congress.
Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs spoke to newsmen after the meeting, highlighting key areas of discussion, including expected areas of support for the nation.
President talked about a lot of things, about economic support, about the root causes of terrorism, about the root causes of coups, about the need for further strengthening democracy in West Africa and in Africa as a whole, and generally the bilateral relations we have with the U.S.
The delegation assured that Nigeria and the United States will continue to share a bond of partnership aimed at improving democracy, the rule of law, and a commitment to peace and good governance. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
In a bid to learn from the successful Borno model of peace building in Nigeria's northeast, a delegation from the Accra Initiative of Ghana visited the Borno State Deputy Governor in Maiduguri. The Borno model of peace building led to the surrender of over 160,000 insurgents. News Central's Umaru Kirawa has details.
Maiduguri, the capital city of Nigeria's Borno state. Peace finally taking root, and the state is recovering from the shackles of the age-old insurgency. People now go about their day-to-day activities without fear of attack by insurgents. This is largely attributed to the Borno model, a persuasive peace-building initiative that encourages voluntary surrender by insurgents to embrace peace. The Accra Initiative delegation, comprising high-ranking officials from Ghana, are here in Borno State to study the Borno model.
It is better for us to learn, and we hope that by the time we go back, we'll be able to inculcate these steps in the methods in which we are addressing insurgency.
Good things like this need to be showcased and told for people to know that we have homegrown solutions to problems that hitherto people thought we couldn't do anything about.
Kinetic operations win the war, but only non-kinetic operations can win the peace. And this is what Borno model has showcased, how to win the peace. To win the war, the military has done that. But to win the peace, you need the political will, you need the coordination, you need the cohesive management of resources, and the exploration of innovative ideas, organic to contextual communities. It has to be locally sourced, locally owned, so that the community can feel a sense of ownership and belonging, and that is what the Borno model is.
The exchange of ideas and experiences, particularly the persuasive mechanisms, is said to be crucial in helping Ghana and other African nations develop effective peace-building strategies. The Borno model of peace building has gained international recognition for its success in countering insurgency and maintaining peace in the region.
I'm so happy because the whole world, have started recognizing the approaches that the Borno State government and the federal government have been doing towards the DDR program. Everybody has his own peculiar problems, but I believe if we harness what is obtainable from each other, I think we'll find a solution to the problems that we have been facing.
The visit by the Accra Initiative delegation to Borno State also aims to forge a strong partnership between the two West African countries and pave the way for further collaboration in combating insurgency across Africa. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umoru Kirawa.
Coming up, Cyclone Gamin kills 11 in Madagascar. We have details after the break. Join us again. The news continues in West Africa, where Senegal's opposition candidate, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, has emerged as the winner of Sunday's election with 54.28% of the total vote. This is according to official provisional result released by the Electoral Commission on Wednesday. Presidential candidates have until the end of Thursday to file appeals challenging Faye's win, failure to which the Constitutional Council will confirm him as the president-elect. Faye's main challenger, former Prime Minister Adedugba of the ruling coalition, secured 35.79% of total vote. Ba, along with several of the other 15 presidential candidates, have already considered and congratulated Faye, and it is considered unlikely that they will appeal against the results.
33%. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, 2 734 voix. Amadou Ba, 1 605 086 voix, soit 35,79% des suffrages exprimés. Aliou Mamadou Dia, 125 690 voix, soit 2,80%.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has expressed delight at the successful presidential election in Senegal, as well as the general elections in Liberia, saying both processes boosted the campaign for democracy by the Economic Community of West African States. Tinubu, who is ECOWAS chairman, congratulated Bassirou Faye on his election as the President of the Republic of Senegal. He equally congratulated incumbent President Macky Sall for overseeing an election widely deemed as peaceful and transparent. Tinubu affirmed that the successful conduct of the Senegal election was a boost to the sub-regional organization in its efforts to promote peace and constitutional order, as well as strengthen ties among member states. As we're talking politics in the region, political tension is mounting in Togo, where opposition parties, less than 48 hours after a constitutional reform, have announced what they described as a constitutional coup. Jean-Pierre Fabre, president of the National Alliance for Change, during a press conference with several opposition parties and civil society groups at the ANC headquarters in the capital, Lomé, said the parties are going to fight the violation of Article 52 and 59 of the Constitution.
Trop, c'est trop. C'est fini. Nous allons livrer bataille. C'est de ça qu'il est question. tout le monde sait qu'ils ont violé l'article 52, l'article 51. Ils ont tout verrouillé. Toutes les institutions. Vous voulez aller aux élections, la Cour constitutionnelle est là pour la validation des candidatures, la proclamation des résultats. La CENI est là pour... Donc, ils ont tout verrouillé. Aucune institution ne fonctionne. Et c'est contre ça qu'il faut qu'on lutte.
Trop, c'est trop. On l'a dit ici, ça fait des décennies qu'on accumule, qu'on avale des couleuvres, qu'on accepte l'inacceptable. Et aujourd'hui, il faut dire les choses clairement. Il faut le dire à l'opinion nationale, mais il faut le dire à la communauté internationale. Aujourd'hui, il y a un putsch, un coup d'État constitutionnel qui est en train de se dérouler encore impunément au Togo. Mais cette fois-ci, nous n'allons pas accepter.
Let's head to Southern Africa, where supporters from South Africa's ruling party, ANC, and ex-President Jacob Zuma's new opposition party, MK, gather near a court in Durban as the ruling party files a new court application to stop MK from using its name, denouncing its intellectual property theft. Zuma used the opportunity to address party supporters after the hearing to reiterate his party's goals.
Sinethuba ke manje lokuthi njengoba sibaningi kangaka sivote sonke kanye kanye. Ngifisa ngisho ukuthi amaqembu lawa amaningi kule game nje lesiya kuyo akathi kuyiyeka into zawo ezela emkhontweni ngoba sifuna ukuwina mase siqeda ukuwina ebese sishintsha imithetho sikhiphe imithetho yabelungu kubuye imithetho yase-Afrika ngenhlanhla ondaba ezitha nezilo na wonke amakhosi avumelana nathi kuvuma abanikazi bomhlaba esifuna ukuthi babuye bazophatha izwe labo izwe lobabamkhulu
okubaluleke kakhulu ukuthi umkhonto uzoshintsha umthetho sisekelo ngedignity yethu Africans unikeze amakhosi indawo yawo ukuthi akwazi ukubusa as ANC ibiwa neglect amakhosi.
In East Africa, a slow-moving cyclone that unexpectedly turned towards Madagascar has killed 11 people on the island nation. This comes as high winds ripped down trees and torrents of water rushed through villages, washing away houses. Cyclone Gamain was projected to skim the island that sits in the Indian Ocean east of southern Africa, but changed course and made landfall in the north. 6 people have drowned and 5 others were killed by collapsing houses or falling trees. Authorities said that some 7,000 people on the island were affected by the storm. Numerous routes and bridges were flooded and cut off. The bodies of 2 construction workers have been found in the cold waters of Baltimore Harbor, trapped in their red pickup truck after a giant cargo ship slammed into the bridge they had been filling potholes on, causing a thunderous collapse. Maryland police announced the grim discovery at a press conference, adding that sonar shows that what they believe are more vehicles trapped within the concrete and twisted steel debris on the Francis Scott Key Bridge. 6 of the 8-man construction crew are believed to have been killed, with 4 bodies yet to be found.
Shortly before 10 a.m., divers located a red pickup truck submerged in approximately 25 feet of water in the area of the middle span of the bridge. Divers recovered two victims of this tragedy trapped within the vehicle. The victims were identified as Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, 35 years old, of Baltimore, and Dorlian Raniel Castillo, Cabrera, 26 years old, of Dundalk.
French President Emmanuel Macron has blasted a long-stalled free trade agreement between European Union and South America's Mercosur bloc. Speaking at the Sao Paulo Economic Forum in Brazil, Macron says he wants to rebuild the trade agreement between the EU and the South American Mercosur bloc to put in place a new generation agreement. The EU-Mercosur Treaty aims to abolish the majority of customs duties between the two zones, thereby creating an area of more than 700 million consumers.
Et c'est pourquoi je préfère mettre les pieds dans le plat devant cette assemblée. Je me suis
这几年来，台湾持续落实国防自主。
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have launched an investigation into response to allegations of forex racketeering. These allegations include a lack of valid documentation, such as the allocation of millions of dollars to fictitious entities, as well as the provision of FX allocations without the corresponding naira value, among other infractions and discrepancies. During an interview on Business Edge Show, Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO of Asha Investment Limited, discussed the broader implications of allowing these acts to continue without taking decisive action.
They did those forensic audit, and we realized that a lot of marketers were collecting money without even delivering anything to the Nigerian government. And remember, a lot of marketers were asked to refund some of this money. So we're happy that Katuso is doing the same thing. But again, this is just a failure of institutions. So it's not supposed to be like that, whereby somebody could just be able to defraud us of our own from the foreign reserve directly. And where you could see that happening, and if you look at some of the documents before the court, in the case between the CBN and the former governor of CBN, the government of Nigeria, and the former governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, where they say about $6.2 million were given to individuals as money that should be paid to election observers, where signatures of the former president and the SSG were all forged. So that tells you a lot of things that have been going on in that space. And that's why we keep saying that the CBN does not have the power to monitor a lot of these things to know if somebody is bringing in a fake document or not, because
And now to sports stories. After 6 days of competing in various sporting games by secondary schools in Abia State, Southeast Nigeria, the hunt for fresh talent might have been narrowed down. Some of those were emerged champions in various fields of play, but those who never had the privilege of showcasing their talents. Youth centrist Chinwe Ogele was at the closing ceremony of the sports festival tagged Unity Games for Secondary Schools in Umuahia, the state capital.
For 6 days, the students drawn from secondary schools in all the local government areas of Abia State competed against one another in at least 24 sports in a freshly introduced festival of sports. Even the disabled ones participated in specialized sports like para-powerlifting, which exposed their capacities for the first time. The Chief of Staff, Pastor Caleb Ajaba, who represented the governor, was sure the event achieved its aim.
And he is starting what can be done as a foundational step that will launch many of us who remain focused to global reckoning. Abia State is coming.
As for the State Director of Sports, the gains of the 6 days were enormous.
That coach George, came to me with smiles and close to tears. Said, Director, I have gotten 6 solid stars in that. The same thing to athletics, the same thing to weightlifting, the same thing to Scrabble. And in fact, in that of Scrabble, the coach said, I have gotten a genius.
For many years to come, these teenagers who have exhibited great skills will tell the story of leaving their homes to be camped in the state capital only to showcase their hidden talents.
I will, and I will do it, and I will continue doing it till I become perfect.
I would want them to help me in football first before going to any university.
I hope going to represent Nigeria.
After now, I'm not going to drop after my secondary school.
I like the training since 2021 that I started the training. This year will make me 4 years of starting this training. So I will keep on trying my best. I will not stop this training.
The beauty of every competition is the ecstasy that comes with victory, but basically the new friendships and alliances formed among people who were hitherto strangers, and the hope that great opportunities await the athletes in the future. In Umuahia News Central, Chinwe Ugeli.
And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Military declares Delta monarch, 7 others wanted for killing of Nigerian soldiers. Freed Kurigasco children reunites with parents. South Africa's ruling party, ANC, launches new court bid to block Zuma. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.